There is some question as to whether the federal government is making moves to prevent an in-depth independent investigation into the Border Patrol shooting of American citizen Alex Pretti. Now, Greg Bovino, who's in charge of Trump's immigration enforcement, says that, well, this is kind of very much on purpose. We don't even know the identities of the Border Patrol agents who were involved in this shooting, and that's very much on purpose. Let's take a look.
From what I understand, there were 2 agents who fired shots. We know one of the agents had 8 years experience, and we know he was a less lethal instructor and had this training. What did the other agent, what was his history? And are they both working right now, or are they on administrative leave?
All agents that were involved in that scene are working, not in Minneapolis, but in other locations. That's for their safety. There's this thing called doxing, and the safety of our employees is very important to us. So we're going to keep those employees safe. As far as the number of shots, the number of agents involved, that again is going to come out in the investigation.
Okay, so the individuals who were involved in fatally shooting an American citizen in Minnesota, their safety is the most important thing, according to Bovino. I should note that Trump has reassigned Bovino. He's no longer going to be operating out of Minnesota. He will be replaced with Tom Homan. And while I'm sure the bulk of our audience is not happy about that either, because Tom Homan is no dove when it comes to immigration enforcement. The fact of the matter is he has been a lot more professional than what we've seen from Kristi Noem or Greg Bovino. He doesn't come out and immediately slander, smear, defame people. He withheld comment following the Renee Good shooting, saying that there needs to be an investigation, and he'll be able to comment after an investigation. So we'll see if Tom Homan is gonna make the situation any better. But nonetheless, Greg Bovino is not a good look for the administration, and Trump realized that, which is why he reassigned him, meaning kicked him out of Minnesota. Now, Bovino said in a separate news conference that the agent who opened fire was an 8-year veteran of the agency. But now there are reports again that 2 agents fired shots. And more importantly, it does look like there isn't even going to be a real investigation into this. According to 2 senior law enforcement officials who spoke to the New York Times, the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department, which has historically investigated shootings involving federal law enforcement officials, is not expected to investigate the shooting of Alex Pretti in Minneapolis. Todd Blanche, the number 2 official in the department, made the same decision after Renee Good was killed. And on a state level, you have Mary Moriarty, the elected prosecutor in Hennepin County, which includes Minneapolis. She says in a video statement that her office, along with state officials, was committed to conducting an objective investigation into the case. But that might not happen, Cenk, because it turns out that the state is being blocked from being able to carry out an investigation. In fact, here is Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension Superintendent Drew Evans explaining what he himself experienced.
This morning, I was in contact with the Minneapolis Police Department after the incident that you're all familiar with now. They requested our Force Investigations Unit respond to the scene and conduct such an independent investigation as we have in other recent incidents in the city of Minneapolis. What occurred was our team responded to the scene, and I was in contact with federal authorities to inform them that that was going to occur and that we were responding to the scene in Minneapolis. When our team arrived, they were blocked by federal agents with the Department of Homeland Security from accessing the scene. We worked with them and were in contact with the FBI, trying to attempt to access the scene so we can gather evidence to understand what occurred and work through this process. Our team also secured a search warrant for the scene, which is an unusual move in a public area like that, but we did that attempting to have judicial approval to enter this scene to gather evidence. We were once again blocked by federal authorities to go in and do that scene examination.
So they're being blocked. I mean, this is not some random person on X. This is an actual Minnesota official who obtained, Cenk, the appropriate judicial warrant in order to carry out this investigation, but they're being blocked from being able to do so.
Yeah, so a couple things here. First, the excuse about doxing. I remember when Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman were killed by O.J. Simpson. Oh no, I doxed him. No. With all potential murderers, we never try them. It's never public. You never get to find out because now the government runs a secret police state. And if they ever kill an American citizen or execute him in the streets, obviously you can never know who that was. They'll never be tried. And if that's not authoritarianism, I don't know what is. So, and for the people, which is now a small group that is still defending the actions of these guys, okay, then when a Democrat gets into office, is it okay if they have masked gunmen going around to right-wing protests, executing people, and then saying, sorry, you can't find out who killed them? That would be doxing. Of course not, because that's absurd. Okay, so number two, Trump is backpedaling. And that's good news. That's why he's bringing in Homan to replace Noam. Noam is kind of universally hated at this point. Plus, they screwed up by attacking Second Amendment rights. Kash Patel, Noam, all talking about, oh, well, you can't bring a gun to a protest. Obviously, you should be executed if you do that.
Insane.
Okay, that's a terrible idea. So they lost a bunch of support on the right and from their own voters for doing that. So he's trying to adjust. And so that's why they're taking the Border Patrol guy out, they're taking Noam out, and they're bringing new people in. So it'll be a nice soft touch with Tom Homan. Okay, yeah. But at least it's not like what Kristi Noem basically in her handling of this so far has treated American citizens like her dog.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah,
taking us to a gravelly pit and shooting us and saying, well, you had it coming. You're slightly bothering me. Okay, and finally on what you were mentioning with the cops not being able to do their jobs, the local and state cops. Well, as one of our members, Sammy B, who just joined, left a comment that we were talking about a minute ago. It's a great point to bring up here. This is actually a good moment for local cops to kind of almost rebrand because there was a lot of bad reputation, especially in Minnesota.
Yep.
Home of George Floyd, right? But here's the local cops doing the right thing, doing exactly what they're supposed to do, protecting the community, serve and protect, right? And the federal government's going, oh, you actually want to protect the community? No, we're not gonna let you. No way. We're gonna bottle up the evidence so no one can find out our crimes. You know who covers up things? A guy who's guilty.
That's exactly right. I mean, if you aren't worried about these Border Patrol agents or ICE agents carrying out acts of violence or doing things that are illegal, you would allow for an independent investigation to play out, both on a federal level and yes, on a state level as well. And there are some principled Republicans, so I want to give them a shout out. They do want investigations into this. For instance, you have Representative Andrew Garbarino, who's a Republican of New York and the chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee. Well, he formally requested that the heads of ICE, Customs and Border Patrol, and US Citizenship and Immigration Services testify at a full hearing. You also have this next graphic, let's put this up. This is Senator Rand Paul, who is also calling for an investigation, saying today I call on the heads of these agencies, ICE, CBP, USCIS, to testify before Homeland Security Committee. And I think that's important. So hearings are one thing. Obviously, a congressional hearing isn't going to lead to potential criminal charges. If there is enough evidence for criminal charges, I would really like for the state to be able to conduct an investigation. And I think the federal government, unfortunately, has lost a lot of trust among the American people when it comes to this issue. But if they want to conduct their own investigation, great, do it. But it doesn't seem like they really have an appetite to even do that. So we'll see how this plays out. I'm happy that there are some on the right in Congress who are calling for this investigation to take place.
Yes, you know, Dana Lash, however she pronounces it, being principled. Really? Wow. Okay, credit where credit is due, right? In fact, I want to read you one of our members from TYT.com. As Mouse Prophet said, I think the NRA coming out and defending Pretti's right to have that gun, kind of weird to agree with the NRA. Trump has forced us into some weird alliances.
Definitely.
Yeah, and that's actually a great example of it. I loathe the NRA, I can't stand them. But if they want to agree with us here in this case, I'm happy to take that agreement. And of course, as usual, Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson all seeming to be on the right side of this issue as well. Not to say that they're against ICE, they're just saying the brother, I did have a right to carry that weapon, and that did not look good. That looked terrible, and that's not what we do to American citizens. Great, Very happy to have that alliance. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.